Welcome to this Tiny Tableau Tips session with me, Tore Levensen, the Tableau Jedi from Norway. Today I'm continuing on my calculation fields, calculation editor, tips and tricks. If you would like to see my previous ones, check out my blog or the YouTube channel. Today I'm looking at my customers and some sales, and then I'm going to add in a ad hoc calculation in here called random. I've talked about this one before. It will give you a random number. If I also put this into my table, we can see that it gives 0 or 1. I just need to format this a bit so that I actually can see the numbers or the decimals. The idea of this one is, of course, that it gives you a random number, 25, 28, etc. And this will be adjusted or regenerated as a new random number if you do any filtering. Just be aware. But if you need a random number, this is where you can add this. But it also says random and then the parentheses as a header. And this is a general tip. If I now double click on my green pill, go all the way to the left and do as we do when we comment a calculated field, these forward slashes, and call this a random number, and then a line shift so that we have the comment on line or row 1 and then the actual calculation on row 2. Click enter. You see that, especially if I do fit width, I have a new title on top in here. I can do the same thing with, for example, a blue pill or customer name. I'm from Norway, so in Norway a customer is called a kunde. So if I then click shift enter and then click enter, it's now called kunde as a header over here. If I go to my data, it's still called customer name. So be a bit careful if you mix these up too much. The next tip is I'm going to switch over to this view where I have sales by subcategory, and then maybe I would like to go to analytics. I'm going to add a total. So when I add this grand total, we see that at the moment it fills the screen. The grand total is, of course, way bigger than the rest of my subcategories, so it takes up a lot of real estate, and we get all this white space over here. So if you still would like to keep the grand total, or at least the number, the 2.3 million, but more look at and have focus on the subcategories, let's go in and create calculation or a calculated field, call it remove grand total. And then we need to do if size equals 1, meaning our grand total, then give me 0, else give me the sum of sales. And remember to end your calculation. So this will then give us a 0 down here for grand total, and then the actual sales for the subcategories. Let's see what happens. I can first just put it on columns next to the other one. So you see that we have chairs 335, 335, that's the same, but for grand total, it's 0. So now we can get rid of sales, or rather, since grand total is totally empty, and I promise you would like to see this grand total, we take the sales, put it on label, and we have the grand total of 2.3 million, but we don't have the skew or everything is squeezed for the subcategories. Just going to go back to this one because I also have one calculation I just wanted to show, or one particular function. Is my customer Alex ? There is this contains calculation or function. Always remember in general to keep on the right hand side this dialog box open. You can still see the syntax when you move around, and here we see we need a string and substring, but on the right hand side we also see that we have the syntax explanation and then an example. So if I would like to figure out if my customer, I can try to write kunde, but you see that that's just an alias. So if I do customer name, if it contains Alex, it will give me a true. If it doesn't, it will give me a false. So I'll say, okay. I put in is my customer Alex. I put it on rows. We see that, well, Alex Avia, that's true. The rest of these are false. Or even better, if I switch the order of these, maybe do all ship modes. I first get all my false, and in the end, I get my true ones in here. I'm just going to change this filter as well. So we see all customers. I have 3 that are true. And then should you use true and false, or should we change the alias? So I could right click on the value of true and false, change the alias to this is Alex. You see that this has changed, and the same with the false, edit my alias, not Alex. And then we can use this instead of true and false. If you would like to have more tips in general on calculated fields or anything related to Tableau, please subscribe to my YouTube channel or follow on my blog for new editions. I'm going to focus more on the grand total in the next edition. See you next time.